From a 2-week break to forgetting to record a proper intro to the podcast, this week we'll be discussing Inside Out 2, Kinds of Kindness, and Daisies. This is The Film Angle.
Welcome to The Film Angle, a podcast where we dive deep into the latest releases and unearth the classics to better our cinephilic curiosity. I'm Kris.
And I'm Alex.
Let's get into it.
Kris, how are you? It's been a little while.
It's been a little while, yeah, to be honest, because how many weeks have we been off now?
2 weeks, but I think because of the way we recorded, I feel like we haven't recorded in 3, or it's like coming up on 3.
Right, okay.
So it feels like a little while, but we are kind of like, we're jump starting, I would say, again, because our schedules are busy. So we've got an episode this week, then another 1 week break, but just the week.
Yeah.
And then I think after that we should be consistent for a little while. That's the hope.
Yeah, that's the hope. I think podcasting is very like momentum based. You know, if you've had more than 1 week off, you just kind of feel naturally a little bit more apprehensive and rusty going into it. So we'll really try our best not to like be as, you know, rusty as I said before and just kind of throw ourselves into it. With the usual, we've done loads of research, Alex, haven't we? We've done so much. We're like, honestly, we're so ready for this.
Oh yeah, so ready. But it didn't help that England were playing last night. They are still in the competition, and I am nursing a little bit of a hangover today.
Okay, so you have an excuse at least
for the rustiness.
Yeah, I was really worried as soon as you came on call today. I was like, oh my god, he's not going to make it.
I was a bit croaky. I was like,
yeah, you'll be fine. Yeah, they got through. Yeah, it's
yeah. But when this episode comes out, they'll be playing in the semi-finals in the evening. So who knows? We didn't think we'd make it this far, but it might be coming out.
And I don't know, Alex. We'll see. See how this episode ages, because so far they've scraped by the skin of their teeth so far, haven't they?
Oh yes, oh yes, they have.
Yeah, let's pray and hope. In the world of film, though, it's kind of done us a disservice to have a couple of weeks off, because for some reason everything is out now at the moment. Like it's a really busy time to go to the cinemas.
Yeah, all of a sudden there's just like so many films to watch, and it's like, because I think the first film I saw for a while in the cinema was Kinds of Kindness, and I was looking back at my old tickets and I was like, I haven't been for actually over a month to the cinema. It felt like it'd been a while. And now it's like, I gotta go watch everything every other week.
Wow, what did you see before that?
I think it might have been, was it Rise of the Planet of the Apes?
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes?
Kingdom.
Oh, that was a long time ago. Yeah, and then obviously there's like other films out, like we got Maxine now, we've got...
Oh no, that just reminded me. When you said Maxine, Mad Max. It was Mad Max Furiosa was the last film I saw in the cinema.
Wow, I was back in May. Wow, that's been a while. Okay. Yeah, and then suddenly we've got everything out at the minute. Garfield, you know, top of the list. I just can't make it to it at the minute. It's a disaster. But no, so yeah, it gives us plenty to talk about here. It's one of those really rare occurrences where I'm actually kind of like, oh my god, I'm not going to get around to seeing everything. There's, you know, we've got Quiet Places out as well. I don't know if I'll get round to that. I want to see the Kevin Costner Horizon Western project. So in a way, it's nice
just to experience it.
Just to experience it. I don't know if excitement is the word. You know, it's always great to hope that a Western's going to hit you and stay with you, but it's not always the case. But yeah, it's a good time to go to the movies anyway, and I hope a lot of people are, you know, getting that summer buzz to kind of go to the cinemas again. But there's certainly plenty of options.
Definitely, and we are a little bit late to the Inside Out 2 review. It's been out for a couple of weeks now, and but it's made over $1 billion. It's the biggest film of the summer, biggest film of the year so far.
Were you expecting it to make that much money?
Not at all.
I wasn't too. Like, I knew a lot of people I thought people in our age group would have had a bit of nostalgia for it when it came out in 2015 was the first one. It's been like 9 years now, has it?
I feel like it's been a while. I remember it coming out in the later days of like like the big Pixar ones had already come by, and it was kind of like almost a bit of a swan song to that era. I would say Inside Out, but we'll get into that. We'll get into that, I guess, when we come into the review properly.
Yeah. Well, should we just jump straight into Inside Out 2? I think we're kind of on our way there already.
We are. However, I did promise our listeners, Chris, that I would review the Taylor Swift concert.
Oh, sorry. How rude of me to ask.
I repped the film angle there, may I say, with a film angle friendship bracelet, because that's what they do.
Beating them off of sticks.
I wasn't beating anyone off, Chris.
Don't clip that, please.
No Swifties were beaten off.
Oh dear.
All right. How do we go?
The guy was just trying to enjoy the show. Okay, Alex. But did you have fun? Was it a good show anyway?
It was a good show. That's what I wanted.
It looked amazing.
Yeah. 5 stars. Sure. 4.5 stars.
4.5 stars. You have to watch the movie now because apparently the Eras Tour film is very good.
Yeah, apparently so. Well, I guess because of the production of it, there's a lot going on. So I can imagine getting a closer look at that in the form of a film is probably the way to go. Maybe I'll give it a minute before because it's been a lot of Taylor Swift recently. I rate it. Very good.
All right, there you go. There you go. Thanks for representing us, Alex.
That's okay. Of course, anytime.
Let's get straight into Inside Out 2. So Inside Out 2 catches up on Riley entering the preteen era of her life with big transitions in school, friendship groups, which of course brings a lot of new complex emotions into play. As Riley tries to wrestle with current friends, aspiring friends, and hockey teams, Riley's old emotions struggle to adapt to the possibility of being replaced by her new emotions. Alex, what did you think of Inside Out 2? Were you a big fan of the first film? And were you excited for this, first of all?
I am a fan of Inside Out. As I alluded to earlier, I don't remember it like as fondly as I do some of the older Pixar stuff. It definitely felt like it was that, like it was said, like that kind of swan song of an original Pixar film.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe everything post that Inside Out film has been, has been a mixed bag. Some have been great, some have not been so great.
Okay.
And I would say like I feel like Inside Out almost felt like a capping point to the old school version of Pixar that we grew up with. And
simple storytelling, kind of akin to Toy Story, which is, of course, Pixar's roots. It's kind of similar to that sort of thing.
Yeah, and now there's just been a lot of sequels. And here we are, another Pixar sequel. Was I excited? I don't know. I feel like my love of Pixar has maybe dwindled a little bit recently. I never got around to watching the latest one about the different elements.
Elemental.
Ah, there you go.
You were nearly there. You were nearly there.
Did you watch that one? Did you watch Elemental?
I keep saying to myself, I've said it like every week to myself for the last year, I'm going to put Elemental on some night on Disney Plus. I just never do it. I don't know. I think because that kind of received a kind of lukewarm reaction that it's kind of made me hesitant. But then, some of the ones I've had lukewarm reactions, like Lightyear and everything, I kind of enjoyed. There just hasn't been one where I've been like, that's been an awful experience for me.
Yeah.
You're right. There hasn't been the consistent highs of what we got in the late 90s and most of the 2000s. So, but I feel like they're kind of they're fitting again. I really like Turning Red. I was a big fan of Coco's great. That was post Inside Out. So, but you're never going to get that lightning in the bottle because we've seen so many of these types of films now. The novelty of a 3D animated movie doing something new, which Pixar obviously had the advantage of doing at the time. is, and there's different genre plays. We're jumping to like a movie about ants, and then we're jumping to a movie about superheroes, and so all that's kind of gone out the way now. And so maybe the well of creativity's dried a little bit. We're just trying to do some stuff a little bit new. It is harder.
Yeah, that reminded me. I have not seen Lightyear yet. I really need to get on that.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah, I wanted to watch it. I just never got around to it. Do you think? I mean, we're not really reviewing Inside Out 2 yet, but do you think Pixar are kicking themselves a little bit that a lot of the films, like during the COVID times, they didn't release in the cinemas and they just released straight onto digital? And then to see the amount of money that obviously Inside Out 2 is getting now, do you think maybe they're kicking themselves a bit, that maybe they're more relevant than they thought they were?
It's very interesting.
Or do you think it is a case of Inside Out 2 does hit with a certain demographic, probably slightly younger than us, that is their Pixar movie? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it could be argued that the first Inside Out film is the last sort of Pixar film that's been released that people have an instant nostalgia for. I don't know. Maybe it's something about the simplicity of the story and how it's something that's not necessarily unique, but it's something that people of all ages can latch onto. And that film was so revered whenever that came out. And Disney as a whole, because Pixar and Disney are, they're one and the same now. They're both intertwined. So perhaps the fatigue for that brand has kind of not really helped it. But then Inside Out 2 does really well. So I don't know. Things like Lightyear, I was one of the 10 people that probably went to see it in the cinema when it was released for like a week. And then, as you said, they all went on to VOD or just straight on Disney Plus like a month later. Turning Red, I don't think even got an original theatrical release, which is a shame because it's a great film. So yeah, COVID hasn't helped. I mean, who knows? Who knows where this is going to go? We talk about it all the time here on the show, but I think Inside Out 2 was strong enough of a brand that people just really wanted to see it. And, everybody can see it and get something out of it. Adults can get, sort of the more complex layers. If, there are some there, it's not crazy complex, and then kids enjoy it at a entertainment basis, or they're going for it at the moment. So yeah, it's one of those things that everybody can latch onto.
Yeah. It is also as well like it's probably like in Pixar's most like stylized film, like whereas they usually are kind of very much pushing the boundaries of animation. Like I feel there's very much a simplicity to the Inside Out animation in terms of style, and there's not a crazy amount of stuff going on in the background when they're in that control room inside of Riley's head. Would you say, as somebody who's seen a lot more Studio Ghibli films than me, would you say that this is Pixar at its most Ghibli?
That's interesting. I don't think that's came into my mind watching these films. I don't really see. I think at its most Ghibli, probably Luca. Remember that film a couple of years ago? That's probably got that most Ghibli feel, that bubbliness, a little bit more of slice of life, sunny blue skies, that sort of thing. But yeah, no, this is definitely, just typical Pixar. I think it's similar. Soul was similar, but I think maybe that kind of reached an adult audience more. But I think they're at their best whenever they're just, right, we're doing this one thing. And Inside Out 2 is definitely like a continuation of Inside Out 1, where it's like, right, we're not going to branch this out too much. We're just going to like do the next chapter of this thing. It kind of writes itself. And I think they were smart enough to keep the second sequel as simple as possible. I think it made it easy to jump back into, and just felt like the next chapter of the story. I don't know if you felt the same.
Well, I did watch the first one again pretty recently in preparation for this, because I think I had only seen it once before. And as soon as you get that end with the puberty button on the control board, you're like, oh, okay, that seems like a logical next step for this is to go down that route, and that's what Inside Out 2 is. It feels weird, I think, that it's taken so long to get the sequel, but then again, I guess a lot of us probably never thought there would be an Inside Out sequel either. But it does make sense that they would go down this route. Would I have wanted them to like maybe kind of subvert those expectations a little bit and kind of push the boat out? I think so, because it is, although not a full-blown carbon copy, it is very, very similar to the first one.
Oh, yeah.
In a way where they have in other sequels that they've done before, they have been a bit more confident to push the boat out and change things up and make it a good story, on its own. I think here, there's a lot of interesting concepts in Inside Out and Inside Out 2.
Yeah.
I think that's where the kind of love of it comes from, because you're like, that is such a cool concept, all the different memories and sense of self, all the different emotions and kind of back of the brain stuff that's going on, even the sarcasm. Like there's a lot of interesting stuff going on within inside Riley's brain, and how it shapes her as a human, I think is really interesting. Obviously, as with Inside Out, if you think about it too much, it doesn't make loads of sense, but it's nice in theory.
I think it's, because you almost think that, is everything that Riley does completely controlled by the emotions that are in her head, or are they kind of like symbiotically both controlling her?
How much
free will does this human being have? But I think the movie, without like, you could definitely pick that part apart, but whenever you just watch the film, like, it does feel like both of these things are separate but working together. So, you still feel like Riley is a person with her own agency and wants and needs and everything. So it's just a really good sort of kid-friendly metaphor to kind of help us understand. And, it does make you think when you watch the film. It kind of makes you think about how you treat people on a daily basis. Maybe the person even next to you when you're watching it in cinema, just think, everybody, there's a reason not always people act out, or people have anxiety, they have fears, blah, blah, blah. It kind of is a good metaphor for showing that sometimes we just lose control, and it's not out of want or desire to act badly, or, have those bad traits in ourselves manifest, but sometimes we just can't help it, and we have to understand that's part of the human experience and help each other out. And I came across pretty strongly when I was watching this film. I think it's worth mentioning going into the cast here. We've got, obviously, mentioned loads of new characters. We've got Anxiety, we've got Envy. So Anxiety's played by Maya Hawke, which I thought it was the standout performance in this film. I wasn't really expecting, I was expecting all the bubbly Pixar voices. I know what Amy Poehler was doing with that voice, and Phyllis Smith with Sadness, but I was really surprised by the character Anxiety and how dynamic Maya Hawke was in that performance. Like, just completely skitterball, but also layered and nuanced in that performance too. And I really, really enjoyed that. Was she a standout for you? Were there any of her characters that you really? I liked Ennui as well. Ennui was quite fun.
Nostalgia. I'm definitely with you on Anxiety with Maya Hawke. I think she was fantastic. And to be fair, I know there's a lot of discussion surrounding the old Nepo babies and all that kind of stuff, but she was always going to be fantastic when she had Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke's blood running through her veins. So, she's got a lot of talented genes there. But she was fantastic in this role. Sometimes when you get a celebrity to voice a character, all you can hear is the celebrity. Here, I felt like Anxiety was its own thing, and I think Maya Hawke did a really good job. Really liked Ayo Edebiri's Envy as well. Always good. I was getting a lot of behind the scenes footage of her being advertised to me on Instagram. I guess they realize I watched The Bear and probably follow her on Instagram as well. So I thought some of that behind the scenes footage looked great, and I think she also did a really good job.
I also think that low key, Ayo Edebiri is slowly becoming one of our biggest stars at the minute. Like, it's really just such a dark horse in terms of just sneaking up into the public sort of mindset. Like, she just keeps doing good projects, and I can just see Ayo Edebiri in a couple of years being an Oscar winner or something. I could just see it happening. It's just
this is a good thing, isn't it? We've seen her in dramatic roles where she's really good, but then she's also got that brilliant thing that
hilarious as well.
She's a brilliant comedian. She's hilarious as well. So definitely. Like you said, already a star, but probably even a bigger future star coming up. So
I never even realized in the first film and this film that Kyle MacLachlan was the dad, was Riley's dad in this.
Yeah, I didn't realize when I first watched it, when it first came out, I hadn't a clue. And this time around, I was like, that dad sounds familiar.
Yeah. It could also just sound like anybody too, but that's not the service to Kyle MacLachlan. It's just like so cool that Kyle MacLachlan can do most everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's working a lot lately. I love to see it. But this was great. There's a lot of so in this story, Riley has a lot of existing friends. Well, she has 2 existing friends who they're going off to different hockey schools. Is that right? And so they're going to one last hockey summer camp where they meet this. They come across this team which is quite notorious, and Riley wants to be a part of that team, and she has to kind of wrestle sacrificing old friends for new friends. It's that sort of like that fear of looking lame or not cool.
Yeah.
In front of, we've all wrestled with that. I think that's so relatable that everybody, has to kind of first part of someone's life where they have to have a real moral dilemma. Like, do I stay true to myself, or do I, can I be part of the status quo and not upset what I've got existing? It's so complex, and we've all been through that sort of traumatic experience of possibly doing the right or wrong thing, and I thought the film really displayed that brilliantly.
How much planning for the future can you do without kind of displacing what you're doing in the present, which is like an interesting thing. Also, it's her first time setting foot in a secondary school as well, and the kind of trying to level your different maturities and stuff coming from, I don't know what they call it in the States, like a preschool, not preschool, but their version of a primary school.
So you got elementary school.
Yeah, that's the one. That's twice you've come in and told me the answer is elementary, but on 2 different things.
Oh my goodness!
but I must say that was that is particularly. I was like, oh, for goodness sake, this is a particularly painful moment for myself, because I remember my first time going to a secondary school. You get like a taster day, and you can go in and on one of the days when you're in year 6, and you go up to the secondary school and you have a look around. You get to spend a day there. I wore school shorts, like black shorts. Like that was just a thing in primary school. Apparently not cool in secondary school, and everybody laughed at me and thought I was so lame. So particularly painful memories of stepping into a secondary school for the first time. So I was like, God damn it! I'm already thinking about these painful memories. God damn you, Inside Out 2.
I'm so sorry to hear about that, but yeah, that sounds...
nobody thinks I'm lame anymore. It's all good.
Nobody thinks I'm lame anymore.
Not one person.
Yeah, nobody just thinks about me anymore. Maybe that's right. Maybe that's more it.
Look at me now.
This is your super villain origin story.
Look at me now, nursing a hangover on a Sunday, doing a film podcast.
We've all had that, like, haven't we? Like a bad haircut or something, and like your mum's or dad has forced you to go into school, and you just want to hide and feel like the whole world is laughing at you. But I really like, there's a moment in here. So whenever this team that, I forget, the Firehawks, isn't it? She wants to join this team called the Firehawks, which is like a prestigious big team, as I mentioned before. And they have, when you become a member of the Firehawks, they have a signature sort of style where they all have a strip of red in their hair, somewhere in their hairstyle. And Riley really wants to be, she'll do kind of anything in this moment to kind of be accepted and be next level with this group of kind of slightly older girls that will, hopefully make her seem cool and jump her to that next level of being in high school. But she kind of jumps the gun and she dyes her hair herself before she's accepted in that group. And it's just like, it's a really hard moment to watch, but it's kind of like we've all done that, where we think in our minds, and that sort of part of our brain is just kind of developing. We think, oh, we're ready for this. I'm going to do something that I've seen in a movie, or like just something I think in my head is cool, and then in reality, it's just really misjudged, and that's all part of growing up too. So I think it really nails these moments really well and very, in a simple way. This movie is almost probably even simpler than its predecessor. I think it's probably a more streamlined film than Inside Out 1, but it didn't feel like a cash grab. It felt like a natural progression of this character. You're throwing in twice the emotions into this film, which is probably, that's the hardest dynamic that they have to pull off. But all of these characters are so well drawn out, so individualized, and none of them come across as annoying or over the top. They're just perfectly measured off of each other. That it kind of comes off well. I don't know if it reaches the heights of that, gut punch that you get from Inside Out 1.
There's no like bing bong this time.
Yeah.
There's no bing bong.
There's no bing bong this time, but it still feels sweet. I had a moment towards the end where I was like, this is affecting me. I'm not going to cry, but I definitely feel the earnestness of this, and I think it justifies itself and has a reason to exist. I was fearing that Inside Out 2, it's coming out after 9 years, this isn't going to be great, so it's nice to know that Pixar still has their game. They've had a few good stuff coming out lately, so hopefully this is just like keep on this path. We're not just making movies for the sake of them, which I think was their problem. I think Elemental just feels like a prototype to Inside Out 2. I haven't seen it yet, but it looks, very visually, it's trying to borrow from that film a lot. I think that was the same. Soul was quite successful though, but it was trying to do a similar thing. So
I really like Soul. I kind of want to agree with you mostly on your points there, but I do think that Inside Out 2 does it, although it's a natural progression, it does follow a very similar kind of story structure to the first one.
The adventure
they're no longer in the control room in the middle act. They have to journey through other parts of Riley's mind in order to get back to where they belong.
Sure.
And
there's a recycling there.
Yeah, there's a recycling of story there. There's and then I just didn't find any of that middle stuff particularly interesting, like not nearly as engaging with the ideas and interesting stuff going on as I did in the first film. And part of me did feel like maybe Pixar releasing this sequel after so long and also not kind of pushing the boat out, which is something they do tend to do a lot, just felt like maybe there was a lack of confidence in trying to completely, I realize I don't want to completely reinvent what Inside Out is, but just felt like I feel like you could have done more. Like, why have you waited so long to tell this story? Like, what is the story you want to tell? So there was an element of that to me, but also, like you said, the characters are so well drawn. I love all the emotions and stuff like that. There was a part of me very early on that was just like, I could just stay in the control room here and go through different parts of Riley's life and interactions and how all the different emotions evolve. I would have been happy with that film. I don't think I needed the peril of kind of going elsewhere. To set the whole film in the control room, I would have been happy just watching those characters interact.
Yeah. I kind of we got at the end of the film, but I really loved in first Inside Out where we got a little bit of like a inside Dad's mind and inside the mom's mind. I would have loved just to, because there's funny jokes again. There's you could pick that apart and take away the logic there, but those moments are really, really funny. So I was kind of I did like the callback to Triple Dent Gum. I did like that. Favorite character in Inside Out 2 had to be was it Lance Slashblade? I was like a moment straight out of Wreck-It Ralph, but I appreciated it. Do you remember?
Oh, the video game,
game character.
Yeah. We play with a few more different kind of animation styles going on.
Yeah, he's like he looks like sort of like a Nintendo sort of PS2 era where he's a bit more pixelated and he's glitchy. That was quite funny.
That was funny. That was
trick, but funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'd say anybody hasn't seen Inside Out 2 yet, it seems like most people have, seeing that the box office is over $1 billion. But I think definitely catch up with it if you can. I think it's a really nice way, like say you're out for the weekend and you want to spend an afternoon with kids or with your significant other or just by yourself. I think it's a really good time to spend in the cinema. It's really nice.
It is absolutely fine.
I didn't expect that. I thought you've said nicer things about the film than it's fine. So
It is fine. It is fine. It's fine.
I think it's good. It's
fine. It's fine. It is good, and it's fine.
Guys listening, take your own agency. If you liked Inside Out 1, I promise you'll probably like Inside Out 2.
The next film we're going to be reviewing is Kinds of Kindness. Now, Kinds of Kindness is the latest film by Yorgos Lanthimos, so quickly after his previous film, Poor Things. This film sees him returning tonally to a film akin to his older work. This time, it's an anthology of stories, all with different characters, played by the same actors across those three stories, where nothing is as it seems and uncomfortable and awkward hilarity ensues. It's kind of a difficult one to summarize. I guess I could go into each different story, but part of the fun is kind of figuring it out as it happens, I would say, right?
Yeah. Similar to movies we kind of talked about previously, I think my enjoyment of this film, and I did really enjoy Kinds of Kindness overall. It's a commitment for anybody listening. It's 2 hours 45 minutes, and it's 3 separate stories, and you kind of have to be up for watching that kind of story. But you're so right. It's kind of a regression back to other projects that Lanthimos has made before, and I really like that. It's not so surprising these days that a director kind of goes backwards instead of forwards. I don't mean that in a kind of in a bad biting way. I mean that in a good way. It's quite nice to see that he's made such a big ambitious project with Poor Things at the beginning of the year, and it's really cool that he can still give us a pretty cold, low budget film that feels like something that would have been, it's very akin to Killing of a Sacred Deer or like Dogtooth. It feels like one of those films that could have been planted somewhere in the middle. And
which is funny because it's from the same writer. Obviously, Yorgos Lanthimos has co-writing credit on it, but Ephthimis Philippou, his writer of Dogtooth, Sacred Deer, Lobster, is back on this one. So hence why it probably feels akin to some of those films as well.
Yeah, and they all have this one thing in common, where they probably don't have the best outlook on humans and our abilities to be kind to each other. Pardon the pun for this film. So yeah, follows 3 separate stories, like you said, all the same actors involved. Really nice to see a lot of Jesse Plemons. Usually we get these movies with Jesse Plemons. Like he comes in for at the end of the film or something like that. I'm thinking about Civil War or Power of the Dog. Yeah, so it's nice to see him kind of from the beginning leading these first 2 stories. And wow, what a flipping performer! He so fits into this style of Lanthimos films. He just fits. He's such an interesting person to look at, and he handles that sort of off-kilter dialogue really well, where you're just like, I'm so interested in this person.
This is his first time working with Yorgos Lanthimos, right?
But it doesn't feel that way, does it?
No, it doesn't feel that way at all.
It's kind of like similar. It makes sense though, because did you ever watch him whenever he was with Kirsten Dunst on the 2nd season of Fargo? Did you ever watch that TV show?
I didn't get that far. I don't think. No, I never got. I remember. I think I only watched season 1 of Fargo. Maybe the first 2. Are you sure it was season 2? Did he come in later?
I think season 2, because it was the one where they went back in time and it was set in the 70s.
Oh, maybe I did. It's been a while. I did like the first season at least, though.
Yeah. So he was kind of playing a similar sort of, he was playing a serial killer basically in that one. I got a killer in that one, and he kind of, you can see the DNA of that sort of performer going all the way back to nearly 10 years ago. So it's a miracle that he hasn't been in one of these films before. But yeah, it fits so perfectly well. So yeah, these are like 3 separate stories that are just kind of completely unhinged, to say the least. Did you really see this as an exercise of trying to find the 3? There's obvious commonalities, a metaphor spread throughout. Our sort of similarities, treating people like abusive dogs, like abusive relationships, dependency, addiction. All these sort of things are kind of coming into play, but I didn't try to get too bogged down with that in this experience. I kind of saw this film as that sort of anthology series where I could enjoy each story just as it was happening. It was more sort of not an exercise, because I don't want to limit that to what this film is, but it feels like Lanthimos is going like, right, okay, I've done the big movie earlier this year, but I'm going to be really playful with cinematic techniques again and show you how I can mess with both these characters and the audience in the process. I really think about all the three main protagonists of each of these individual stories and how we think a certain thing about them at the very beginning, purely because of how Lanthimos directs the project and frames the story. And then by the end of it, he pulls the rug underneath us in a way that makes you feel like I am such an idiot. It was all in front of me the whole time, but it was just so well puppeteered that I kind of fell into this character's mindset and what they were going through.
Yes, yeah, and I think probably most evident in that second story, more than the third. But you're right. When you're watching this, you can watch it in two ways. You can try and go, oh, what are the different themes going on? What connects these stories tonally? All that kind of stuff. Or you could be like, these are just three different stories. Maybe Yorgos Lanthimos couldn't land on one idea and just thought, screw it, I'll just make a film out of all three of these instead of making each one its own singular film.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. I think there's nothing like, oh, this is what my movie is about. It touches on various things in human beings just lightly enough to kind of make you chuckle or feel a little bit more uncomfortable as you're watching along, because this is a Lanthimos film and it is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
just as usual. It's a very eerie world that he sets up. Everything kind of, it's exactly as we know it, but everything is just slightly off, not visually, just purely on human behavior. And we're seeing like a normal society. Everybody still goes to work, has jobs, things in history still happen as they were, but these people are acting this way, and it's such a mind boggle when you're trying to watch it, just kind of thinking about like how these two things just shouldn't exist together. It's so fun.
Oh yeah, I think, and each story I think takes like a minute to like settle into the vibes of what it's going for, and then I think there's an like the midpoint. You're very much like, okay, I now see what's happening, and I'm excited to see how it plays out. I think the only story which I was like, I see what's happening, and it's not as interesting was maybe the third one, because I could kind of see it coming before. Like the story was kind of happening and I was figuring it out, and it was kind of like, I know, I can see where this is going. The first two may be slightly more surprising. But again, like you said, there's also that element of like, oh, I should have seen where it was going as well. What was your favorite story out of the three?
I do think purely from entertainment and performance, I'm thinking about, I do really consider this to be, most of my enjoyment of this film was based on Plemons' work in these films. I just find him just so sort of such an anomaly and so interesting to look at and listen to, and see him kind of think and work things out. There's something a bit sort of morbidly curious about him. This guy feels like he can do anything. He can flip on a dial and change, or be capable of good and horrible things. So I find that really interesting about him, and he kind of carried me through the film. I think the second film does the thing that I mentioned before the best, that sort of lulls us into that false sense of security with the character. That it's a really interesting premise of a story from the get-go, where we're introduced to Plemons, who is a respected cop whose wife went missing at sea while doing research, and then suddenly, after a few weeks, his wife, played by Emma Stone, arrives at home unscathed, and he has suspicions that she is not his real partner. And so it turns into this real, like, we're in it with him. We're in it with him. We're paranoid. Is there something alien about the way that the Lanthimos has shot Emma Stone and like making her seem like this sort of person that just came in and perhaps like a specter that just came in and kind of slotted herself and done something with the real version of Emma Stone. But of course, that's not really where the story goes. And when it flips its head at the end, you're like, how did I not see it? I mean, the story told us that this guy is insane from the beginning. And it just dances over that stuff because the main plot is so intriguing that we kind of just forget it and put it to the side, which I think is that's nearly an impossible thing to kind of pull off. I don't know. Maybe I'm just stupid, but it really, really worked on me. I was just so sort of lulled into the film and Jesse Plemons that I forgot that he had loads of red flags.
Yeah, I it was difficult. It was one of those ones where I wasn't sure if the film was trying to convince me or not that she wasn't real. So like,
that's it, isn't it?
I was jumping between the two in a way of like, maybe he's got a point, and then I was like, no, this is too weird. The whole thing's weird. But yeah, no, I think the first and second are the stronger stories, and I think the third is probably the weakest, which is kind of a shame because it's quite a long film. You are starting to tire a little bit by the end.
Yeah,
so that having a slightly weaker story, I did maybe like finish the film and be like more on the mixed bag feelings of like, oh, this was okay, rather than say after we'd like maybe if it finished after the second story, I probably would have been more like, whoa, this is great. So like I think the whole film has left me feeling a little bit like, oh, well, I don't fully understand the point of it all, but like I did enjoy what I saw. I've been enjoying talking to you about it. I know we had a brief catch up a few days ago where we were able to just kind of chat about it for a minute, no microphones and stuff like that, and just talking about different elements of the film made me realize that I do quite like this film. But yeah, different parts of it maybe doesn't come together as a whole as well, but it is good. And you got to I love the idea of having just like a revolving like a not a revolving door. I was going to say like a revolving door of actors, but it's not, is it? It's the same group. It's almost as if it's been some kind of summer camp where they've just gone away and made a bunch of short films together. And it's like the main ones being Emma Stone, Jesse Plemons, Willem Dafoe, Margaret Qualley, and Hong Chow.
Mm-hmm.
I believe are like the mainstays across all.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Across all three stories. And it is very much like, well, these are the actors that get it the most. They're the most happy just to be like, whatever you say, Yorgos, I will happily just, go with your strange stories and characters.
Get on all knees and just moo like a cow if you want me to. Yeah,
exactly. Like they very much are just happy to go for it. And man, like, between like Poor Things, watching The Curse on TV, and now this, like Emma Stone, I think is like honestly one of the best actors out there. Like I'm fully convinced.
Yeah, I didn't mention her performance. She is great. Yeah,
she is fantastic. Like you said, Jesse Plemons, I still want to see more of him because he is so brilliant in everything he does. Including Like Mike. I remember him from Like Mike.
Like Mike? God, that's a throwback.
I used to love Like Mike.
Yeah.
When he turned up in Breaking Bad, I was like, oh my God, that's the kid from Like Mike.
He'd fall off great. You're like, well, I can't even remember Like Mike. I remember he used to. It's not the one about basketball. Is that basketball?
Yeah.
It was Like Mike 2. Yeah.
There was a Like Mike 2. I don't remember watching Like Mike 2, but yeah, it was like Lil Bow Wow finds Michael Jordan's trainers and becomes a basketball star.
Oh, they're like hanging on like some telephone wires.
Yeah. They're like struck by lightning, and then so that's like when he wears them, he becomes like a as good as Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I remember
like
that.
Mike. Then Jesse Plemons plays the bully, doesn't he? He's like one of the bullies in their foster home or something like that.
I still think his like best performance for me is I love him in Game Night. I think he's so funny in that film. But that's an unhinged performance, but using it in a comedic way. And the guy's just great. So yeah, more of him, please. We're not sick of him yet.
Yeah, and Willem Dafoe is fantastic as well.
And everybody wants to sleep with Willem Dafoe in Kinds of Kindness.
Yeah, no matter what character he plays.
No matter what character.
So I guess maybe the dad character doesn't get as much sexual energy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I guess that's the thing that's interesting too, because you're trying when you cast the same actors for each project, so you're trying to think about, right, how is that character that Willem Dafoe played in the third story connected to the second and first, or is he at all, so that's another interesting dynamic to think about as well. You want to,
especially because going in from that first story to that second story, like, is there going to be a crossover of some sort? It's like you're trying to see if, like, maybe there's more to it. But yeah, then by the third story, like, oh no, it's not really a crossover film so much. It's just, it's just tonally consistent.
Yeah, not for everyone, but for Lanthimos fans, definitely. I think that's fair to say.
Oh yeah. What, the film as an overall?
Yeah, sure.
I agree. I liked it a little bit more than Inside Out 2, but I didn't adore it like I adored Poor Things.
There we go. I think Inside Out 2, if we're comparing, I don't know why we're comparing to the two most opposite.
One's a PG, one's an 18.
But I think we're pretty level in terms of our enjoyment of these films, but we're just slightly opposite in the pendulum a little bit.
Yeah.
Cool. So, Alex, we're back to our usual quiz format this week, and because we've been delving into Inside Out 2, thought this was a great opportunity to refamiliarize ourselves with the world of Pixar and see how your knowledge has lasted the years. You were, come on, yeah, you lived through all the 2000s. You experienced the best of Pixar. Surely it's ingrained into the.
I hope so. It's funny though, because today I had zero idea as to what the trivia section was going to be. Sometimes you give me a little heads up, and I had nothing. So here we go. It is a slightly hungover me trying to answer some questions about Pixar films.
Okay. Well, we'll jump into it and see how you do. This is 10 questions, and we'll see how you do out of 10. I think the last time we did a quiz where it was out of 10, you got 3.
Yeah, the Man on Muppet one. A lot of love for that segment. But yeah, I didn't do particularly well on it.
I think you'll do better this time. Okay, ready?
Let's do it.
Question 1, Alex. Which Pixar movie was the first to win an Academy Award for Best Animated Feature?
Toy Story 2?
Toy Story 2. Yeah, definitely final answer.
I'm just trying to think.
When was the Best Animated Film Oscar started?
I don't know, but I feel like it wouldn't have been when Toy Story 1 came about, because I feel like
definitely not.
That would have been the only one, potentially. So I feel by the time Toy Story 2 came out, maybe there were more. But then again, have they been doing them for a while because of the Disney animated stuff? I don't know. I'm going to go Toy Story 2. You tell me. Go on.
It actually is a lot later. It's 2004 Oscars, which is Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo. There you go.
Yeah, and there was only 3 nominees for that category that year. I forget what one of them was, but the other one was Brother Bear. So,
Brother Bear was great though, right?
I remember thinking I didn't. For some reason that one didn't connect with me as a kid. I had Phil Collins again did the score for that one, didn't he?
That's correct. Yeah.
So obviously that category's just like expanded now, and it's not what it used to be. But okay, so well done, Alex. You got nothing there.
Thanks.
Number 2, which Pixar film featured the studio's first female-led character?
Okay.
The first. I can see you going through the whole catalog.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It is quite a male-heavy lineup. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Now that I'm thinking about it, but it's making me wonder if it was Inside Out.
Okay, you sure?
No, but give me 2 seconds. I'm trying to think of all the films.
I can help you if you want. It was earlier. It was earlier.
It was earlier than that. Oh man, am I going to kick myself?
I think you will. But I think this is a film that a lot of people just forget is Pixar sometimes. I don't know why.
Okay. Oh, no. I remember. Brave.
Okay.
Brave.
That's right. Yeah. Well done.
Yeah.
There's a point to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
What was the character called?
Meredith.
Merida? Wasn't it Merida?
Was it Merida?
Merida. Yes, Merida. Yeah.
Not Meredith.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have to check that now, aren't I?
That was like their first attempt at doing a. Well, I say first attempt. It was like their attempt at doing a Disney princess kind of thing, right?
Yeah, Merida.
She is considered a Disney princess, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Merida.
I really like that movie too. Right, number 3. What is the name of the Pixar short film that preceded the release of A Bug's Life? This is maybe a little bit more nerdy. But
oh wow, yeah, that is a lot more nerdy. Made me think though, Chris, there was no short film before Inside Out 2, right?
No, they haven't done that for the last few Pixar films, I've noticed.
That makes
it's kind of
sad.
like it's kind of like a thing that's not happening now.
I guess it was the first one I hadn't seen the first one I'd seen in the cinema for a long time. So yeah, I was a little bit sad to see they don't do the short films anymore.
Yeah,
it was a good way of showcasing up and coming directors and writers and stuff.
Proteges and the team, yeah.
Because the person who directed Inside Out 2 did a short Monsters, Inc. film, right?
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, it's not the chess guy, is it?
Okay, you're onto something here, but can you remember the name of it?
I don't remember the name.
That's good though. You did really well. That deserves half a point.
All right, you keeping score, yeah?
Yeah, I was trying my best. It's Jerry's Game.
Jerry's Game. Gotcha.
Yeah, I think I had the movie on VHS, and that was at the end of the film, and it was the old guy playing chess with himself, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so that's 1.5 points. Let's just say, try to keep that in your mind. Number 4, which Pixar film was the first to be directed by Brad Bird?
That would have been The Incredibles.
That's correct. I thought you would get that one.
Yeah.
2.5. Number 5. In Monsters, Inc., what is the slogan of the company?
Oh, bloody hell. That's one of my favorites as well. Oh, my God. I've not seen it in such a long time. Something to do with screaming.
There's a rhyme in it.
Yeah. If you scream, you dream. I don't know.
That's like Nightmare on Elm Street, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm going to have to pass on that one. I can't remember that one. It's one of my favorites. I do love Monsters, Inc., but I don't remember the slogan.
It's We Scare Because We Care.
Ah, of course. This is why I should have had a heads up this time, Chris.
That's okay. as if you would have prepared for that answer.
That's true.
I refuse to believe it. Number 6. Which Pixar film was almost lost before release due to a computer glitch during production, but was luckily saved by a backup copy stored off-site?
Yeah, this is a famous one, isn't it? This was Toy Story 2.
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that have been a disaster? Because I would say the best Pixar film.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I agree with that. I think Toy Story 2 is just hits on every level.
3.5, Alex. 3.5 out of 6. Number 7. What is the name of the Easter eggs that appear in many Pixar films and references a classroom at the famous Cal Arts College?
Yeah, it's a number, isn't it?
It's the name of the classroom.
Got an 8 in it?
No.
Okay, I don't know that.
The answer to that one is A113.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. Sorry about that one.
That's all right.
I could have said the Pizza Planet truck, but I didn't want to teach you to suck eggs. I thought I would have treated you like a baby there. In Monsters University, which fraternity does Mike Wazowski join?
Oh God,
this is like cemented into my mind.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Why?
I just like these guys. I like this little fraternity group. I like them.
I can see like the poster. I can see the poster in my mind.
Yeah. It kind of riffs on the whole like alpha, beta, omega sort of stuff. But
yeah, I know. I'm trying to think. It was like Delta something, maybe?
Nah, I don't think you're going to get it.
I don't think I'm going to get it either.
It's Uzma Kappa.
Uzma Kappa. All right, yeah, I definitely want to go there. I don't even remember that.
We're doing okay. I think there's still opportunity here.
Well, my 3.5 still.
Yeah, and you're on 9. You beat your record.
But from the last one, I think I did better on the first time you did this. Come on.
In The Incredibles, yeah, you like that one. In The Incredibles, what is the name of the superhero costume designer, and what does she refuse to include in her costume designs?
Knockouts.
That's 1/2.
That's
What's
1/2. Shit.
I think if you didn't get this, man, you would absolutely kill yourself.
Yeah. Jesus. Kick myself, maybe, but kill myself.
I don't know.
Oh, God.
Maybe watching too much Lanthimos.
Bloody hell, man. This is so annoying. What's her name?
Just think of the voice.
I know.
Coincidentally, Brad Bird did the voice of her as well.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? I don't want to pass on this one because I know what it is. It's in my brain. It's been flung to the back of my head. The alcohol's messed me up.
yeah, that's fine. We'll blame it on that. The answer, do you want the answer?
No. Yeah, go on then.
Edna Mode.
Edna Mode.
No, that's not how it works. Okay, 3.5.
All you need to see was and I knew it. I knew it was there. Something was unlocked.
I'm sorry, 3.5.
I get 0.5 point for that one.
No.
What? I got the okay.
Oh, you get Kibs. Okay, so okay, 4. You're on 4.
4 out of 10. Woo!
So let's even get 50% on your test here. Last one. In the movie Up, what wilderness explorer badge is Russell trying to earn when he meets Carl?
The Wilderness Explorer badge. Yeah, I'm a fan of Up. I'm a fan of Up. I've not seen it a lot though, so
yeah. You can kind of guess. I mean, try to guess like who Carl is, who Russell. Meeting him. Why would he be interested in Carl? What could he give him as a badge? The logic is there.
Elderly.
You're in the ballpark.
Elderly care. Explorer.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to you.
Yeah.
Assisting the elderly badge.
Okay. Well, you said exploring the wilderness badge.
No, he's wilderness. It's like Boy Scouts, but the group that he belongs to is Wilderness Explorers.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. All right.
Okay. I think I'm going to take 0.5 point off you for that one.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Yeah, we're going to end that on a 4.5.
All right, fine.
Alex, you did it right. You didn't do too
I know. Bad. It's not good enough, though, is it? I do love Pixar, but it's been a minute. It's been a minute.
Got the Jerry's Game one. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, kind of. I was like the guy playing chess.
There was like 50 Disney Pixar shorts. I think you did really well.
Yeah, I remember that. Piper. I remember Piper, the one with the bird. I always used to like that one. It's one where all the birds are on a wire at some point as well. That was good.
That was at the beginning of Bug's Life.
Yeah. There's a bunch in there.
Yeah, I remember what was the very first one? Was the one with the snowman and the snow globe? I used to love that one as a kid.
Yeah, Bow was a good one.
Bow was good. Yeah,
Bow was good.
Yeah. Lava was quite popular.
Yeah. Lava was good. The singing volcano, wasn't it?
Yeah. Big fans. Paper was good. Remember that was quite a big one. But Paper Airplane was shot in black and white.
Oh yeah, and there was one with umbrellas, and at the time the animation was like,
yes, it was like photorealistic.
Yeah, like the lighting was crazy, wasn't it?
All right, Alex, that's enough Pixar for today.
Yep, thank you. So, this is the section of the show where we catch up with our ongoing series, our blind spots on the Sight and Sound greatest films of all time list. We're continuing to make our way down the list of films we haven't seen before, and this week we have jumped to number 28, according to Letterboxd, and it's our first Czechoslovakian film on the list, Daisies. Daisies follows two teenage girls, both named Marie, who kind of decide to fight back against the rules of their society, the rules that they're constricted by. They decide to embark on a series of destructive pranks, which causes chaos wherever they go, almost like a middle finger to the patriarchy.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of is what the film is, consistently from beginning to end. And it's just this sort of watching these two women, Marie 1 and Marie 2, is how they're cast in this film. And I actually think that's quite good titling, because they actually reminded me a lot of Thing 1 and Thing 2 from Cat in the Hat. You know, that sort of like level of just like utter chaos and destruction, but gleeful chaos and destruction. Yeah. But yeah, so it's interesting because the filmmaker, Vera Chytilova, she was kind of a very up-and-coming big avant-garde artist at the time, and was kind of, a lot of Czechoslovakian films were very restrained, like you said, by the patriarchy. There was a very rigid sort of structure and very traditionalist sense of how they were made, and its attitudes towards men and female relationships. And this film was just like a complete response to that, and trying to be anachronistic and upend what, you know, how men treated women in films, and also how what women were kind of seen to be. So there's just like, in their performances, they're very childlike, both of these actors, and they're both putting on these like really like high pitched squeaky voices. I think kind of almost like they're riffing on what women usually are, as a you know, that terrible dumb stereotype that they were in that sort of age of cinema, where they were just kind of toys to be used or sort of laughed at or played with. So it kind of makes these old men kind of just look completely ridiculous, and shows that they're completely untethered and unrestrained, and chaos ensues. And meanwhile, Chytilova's having a lot of fun with the style of this film. Oh yeah, shooting it in loads of different colors, just absolutely trying to be as rebellious as possible. Just completely poking at the bourgeoisie lifestyle. The overconsumption of food is like a really big thing in this film.
Very big thing. It ends on them destroying like a feast, an untouched feast, doesn't it?
Yeah, even though it's a feast, can I just say something? You know, like movies of the well, I'd say food. Food is a lot better now, right?
Yeah.
food like past 40 years ago, I would even say, didn't look great.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember, Czechoslovakia was under Soviet rule, I believe, at the time of this film. Hence why it was banned, I think. Apparently, I didn't really see it. I mean, maybe I'm being stupid, but apparently it was poking fun at communism a lot and stuff like that. But I didn't see it that so much as it was just kind of poking fun at the patriarchy and, like you say, the bourgeoisie lifestyle. But maybe that in itself, this idea that an individual, somebody could be free in this world. I don't know what was going on. I'm too hungover to get into the theory.
No, I think that's a really good way to enjoy the film, because it is, I wouldn't say there's a complete narrative thread. There is a very episodic film that is broken up by these little sections where, like, they are, you know, we constantly go back to the field where they're having this sort of like picnic setting, and so like there's just one scene where they're just like they're just having phallic shaped foods and cutting them with scissors, and, you know, which is obviously a very, you know, obvious metaphor of what's kind of going on with the rest of the film. But I love this sort of like them taking old men out to dinner to be wined and dined by them, and acting in a way that would be considered vulgar and you know, unattractive, but yet these men are even more infatuated with them because of how different and unrestricted they are. I find that was quite interesting. And then only for the girls each time to drop these old men off at the train station and ditch them was always really quite funny. But stylistically, there's, like I said, there's a lot of fun things going on, a lot of different color changes. Just, it's a bit of a rainbow effect of a film. And there's like, I love this scene where Chytilova, she's kind of done this scissor cutting effect. So the two girls are literally trying to slice each other with scissors, but in like a way that's sort of not evil but sort of playful. It's weird. You have to watch the film kind of
it's quite surreal and experimental in places.
Yeah, so there's like a so slicing effect that looks a little bit like David Lynch's Dune with the shields a little bit, but it's a lot of fun, and I think that's kind of where I come along with it. It's quite interesting now. I know we keep saying, "Oh, we're not doing this comparative exercise," but when you're talking about the BFI list, it seems like the whole thing that's been a commonality is a lot of anachronistic, rebellious films that challenge the notion of what cinema was in a political mindset of the context of the time. So there obviously is going to be a little bit of detachment from the modern day viewer, considering that I wasn't living in a Czechoslovakian sort of state of that state of period of time where I was restricted like that. So I have to.
And also not aware of the history as well, maybe as well. Like Czechoslovakia is not exactly a country that we have probably studied as quite intently as others, maybe.
Sure. I mean, of course. I mean, you and I we'll try our best to do our due diligence. There's only so much time, I'm gonna spend doing a little pre-research on the context of these films and before we go into them and appreciate them. That is something that you and I will always try to do. But at the end of the day, there's only so much appreciation that you can get from a half an hour, 1 hour sit down reading about an overview of the politics of the time to appreciate a film, as opposed to living in it at the moment and knowing what that felt like. So there is always going to be that detachment, but nonetheless, I saw it for what it was. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought the two actresses were really kind of very, very, they were fully into it in the same way as we were talking about Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons being fully like in on their roles. It's very similar to that, like where the project is very, it's synchronized perfectly with everything that's going on, and it's fully realized, and it I think it succeeds in what it's trying to do. Will I watch it again? Probably not. But that last scene with the banquet, that feast, the full just sort of explosion of absolute ludicrousy is just so fun to watch. I find it quite hypnotic in that sense.
I was saying the film feels like a middle finger. It feels like anarchy and chaos in a really kind of fun way. It's clearly, a feminist film. Very anti-capitalist and anti-bourgeoisie, and I kind of loved that it was kind of punk rock in a way, in messing with the conventions of film itself, but also kind of having fun and being stylish along the way. Yeah, like you say, it's one I enjoyed. Would it have made a bigger impact having watched it at the time with more knowledge of what's going on? Probably yes. But I can, I'm sure somebody could make a pretty good argument as to why it deserves to be on the list. But that person probably isn't me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It is a short film, and there's not a lot. Again, you're right. I think somebody with the right sort of context and background and appreciation for the material would be able to school us for a good hour, 2 hours, and why it's amazing. We probably would be at the end of it, be completely convinced by that. But it was a pretty straightforward experience for me that I appreciated, thought it looked cool as hell, and really enjoyed the performances. And yeah, that's all I can really say about this one. It's a little bit lighter in tone to the rest of them that we've been talking about so far. But really enjoyed it for what it was.
Yep, and to be fair, we probably needed something lighter because the next one on the list is very heavy.
Oof. Yeah, I'm glad we have the week off next. So I can actually watch it.
As we alluded to, guys, the next BFI Sight and Sound film is a heavy one. It is Shoah. Now, whether we come back and review that on our 100th episode or not remains to be seen, because there'll be a lot going on. We did speak about doing a bit of a Q&A for that one, but there's so many films coming out at this point as well that it might be a shorter Q&A and continuing on with our reviews, because that's what we like to do. And there's a lot of films coming out. So we are taking a 1 week break again, but we will be back with our 100th episode, which is pretty mad to say, really.
Yeah, it is pretty mad to say. Yeah, it's been great, Alex. I've really enjoyed doing this podcast with you. Not to get too sentimental, but it's great. And we probably should be episode 200 by now, but we like our holidays too much.
We like to take our breaks every now and then.
Yeah, I like to get ill. That's just a thing I like to do. It's a hobby.
Yeah, you have been ill a few times. You have been ill a few times as well.
Yeah, I can just hear the festering hate in your voice.
Yeah.
So sorry to everybody.
But yeah, we'll be back. There's a slew of films that we could be reviewing at that point. Maxine being one of them. Long Legs is coming out. We might get a chance to catch up on the Bike Riders.
Yes.
So this is why we didn't want to dedicate a whole episode to just Q&A. We will probably just keep that condensed and keep reviewing films because there's a lot to review and we want to do it.
Yep. Well, we just want to see everything, don't we? Selfishly, too.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss out. So, yeah.
I am looking forward to Long Legs. Very intrigued to see what that one's all about.
I am very interested in Long Legs. Like, the marketing's been very old school, quite interesting. The trailer did a lot for me. It creeped me out. Interesting, though, about the reviews, though. It's been very, trickly with the reviews, letting a couple out at a time, which, that's quite unconventional. I don't know about that.
100% on Rotten Tomatoes, if we are to pretend that we care about Rotten Tomatoes for a minute.
Which is out of 16 critics, which is interesting.
All very genre-specific critics as well.
Exactly.
Apparently, the big dogs, your big newspapers and critical places are embargoed for a minute. So
interesting. So we'll see how that goes, but it looks promising. So I'm excited about that.
Total Film just gave it 5 stars, though. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah.
Okay. And there's a lot of people I follow on Letterboxd that I kind of respect their opinions, and those reviews have been pretty high too. So so I'm excited for that one a lot.
Not long now.
That has been the episode for this week. If you've enjoyed it, make sure to leave us a 5-star rating or review. We really do appreciate it. If you'd like to keep up to date with us, make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at The Film Angle.
We also have a Film Angle playlist, so if you want to listen to what we listen to, you can find that in the show notes. Be sure to catch us in 1 week for more cinematic discussions. Goodbye.
See ya.